This week in Hypixel Skyblock, a few things happened, and in this video I'll be covering most of them. A lot of people got fake wiped by Hypixel because they had to support 1.20.5. Yeah, that makes sense. But it wasn't really anything permanent, it was just a thing that happened, and yeah, it's been reverted. Now this thing was on alpha last week, so I've already covered it in detail, but here's a basic rundown of how it works. During Hoppity's egg hunt event, chocolate eggs will appear on various islands, and collecting them gives you chocolate rabbits. That can then be used to boost the production of the chocolate factory. That gives chocolate that can then be used to boost the production of the chocolate factory. Basically, it's a fun little mini game. Inside a mini game. Inside a mini game. Inside a game. There are also various upgrades you can add to get more chocolates. So yeah, basically something like a chill mobile game. Apart from that, there are also a bunch of items that can be bought for chocolate. So it's also a decent passive money making method. I recommend you check your calendar to find out when it's gonna happen. The Dark Auction has received a few changes. Along with a complete remodeling, they've also added new items like the Magic 8 Ball that gives you a random stat every season, and Sirius's personal phone number that gives you a 1% discount. There are also a lot more Dark Auction servers now, so there will no longer be solo lobbies, I think. There will also be an extra round in the Dark Auction. They also modified the weight of certain items, so it probably means you are more likely to get the Ender artifact than let's say a Magic 8 Ball. Next, we've got the Glacite golem pet, which was pretty useless on alpha because it only worked on the Glacite mineshaft, and the gemstones there didn't even regen, but they've made it slightly more bearable because you can now spawn mineshafts more frequently thanks to the pity system. Basically, you have a 1 in 2000 chance to spawn the mineshaft from any block, and the counter will go down by a specific amount based on the block you are mining. Like let's say you mine 10 titanium blocks, now you'll have a 1 in 1920 chance of spawning it. So yeah, it's a really good change because it will allow you to spend more time grinding in the mineshaft instead of looking for them. We've also got a cold rework. Basically, if your cold resistance is greater than your cold, you will no longer get a mining speed penalty. So the frigid husk is no longer completely worthless, as with enough cold resistance, you can gain plus 10 mining fortune and 37 mining speed. But with auspicious, you can get plus 8 mining fortune and 45 mining speed, which is probably better because it's more consistent. Also, a lot of forge items now take a lot less time to forge. Like bejeweled handles only take 30 seconds instead of 30 minutes. You can also get 5000 out of the mountain XP from each vanguard. Also, the shiny prism now gives more mining fortune, and the chance of spawning mineshaft with gemstone crystals has been buffed. Also, the skeleton key only works on vanguard corpses now. Took them long enough. Also, if you've reached the dwarven base camp, you no longer need to buy the crystal hollows pass, and you can just use /hollows as long as you have the scroll. It will now cost 3 fuel to mine umber, tungsten and glacite. You can only gain at max 5 scraps per mineshaft now, and the chance of you getting a fossil from it has been heavily reduced. You can now only enter the glacite mineshafts in groups of 4 people within 30 seconds. The penguin pet has been heavily nerfed, as it now only gives plus 10 sea creature chance instead of 30. The campfire in the dwarven mines no longer instantly removes cold, but it removes 20 cold per second, which isn't that bad.
Nucleus running for Heart of the Mountain XP has been heavily nerfed, as you are no longer guaranteed to get at least 1 crystal commission.
You can now use /RNG to access the RNG meter. Voidling fanatics can now drop epic and leg endermen. Beacons on private islands have been buffed and now have unlimited range. The Voidgloom Slayer T9 buff now increases your chance of spawning certain mobs like Lord Jabba's, Garthog, Golden Jerry, Rhine Drake and the Diamond Goblin. It also costs way less now to reset experimentation tables. Boss skipping has been completely patched, it seems, because you can no longer deal immense damage to one-tap Voidglooms or Blazes, because at each phase there is a specific damage cap, so you can one-hit a phase, but you can't skip them entirely. Also, turns out Sketha never worked with non-mining sources. You can finally add Ancient Claws to personal compactors. Stranded now has an NPC buy limit. Why? Cause Hypixel. Also turns out pigs had a chicken icon in the Stranded bestiary. Cause Hypixel. You can now get true defense from fervor and mending from hollow, but you'll no longer get strength and critical defense. All of the fossils can now be sold to the NPC. They also added aquamarine slots to the auger and giant rod. You can no longer add items with modifiers like enchants in the rift transfer thing, because modifiers would get wiped anyways. Basically, if you didn't already know, Hypixel once tried to make attributes transferable, which got a lot of backlash, and they decided not to. But it seems they will make certain changes with attributes. Yeah, some of the reasons they've provided. It simply costs too much and isn't worth it. You know, it's a problem when even the admins tell you the buff isn't worth it. They also want to implement attributes on other sectors. Next is the fact that every attribute has a different use case scenario. Like for Kudra, you need mana regen and mana pool on Aurora, but for flares you need veteran. So you either grind with a suboptimal setup or spend billions on veteran Aurora. So they'll be revamping attributes through a new skill in the foraging update. Hunting is basically gonna be a new skill where you hunt for specific mobs to get their attributes. And it seems it's gonna be like Pokemon, where you weaken the mobs and then capture them. Like you can get Hunter from Sea Archers, Blazing from Flares. And instead of adding attributes from shards, you can now just click on them as buffs. So the old attributes will no longer work. And shards will only be used to get attributes in the new fusion mechanic. And since Kudra focuses on attributes, it could pose a threat. So they may change the loot table in the future. Also, we'll now have new exotic armor sets, as unless you remove the attributes, they will stay on the armor even though they won't work. Yeah, some fun things in the subreddit. This guy got the best RNG roll. But can anyone tell me what even is this? Especially this part, I legit don't understand it. Downtime Kim has surpassed 15H to become the new number 1 Hypixel player, even though they have the same score. Cause turns out he got lucky with his UUID name. The number 1 wheat farmer accidentally found a dupe. Basically, he had 2250 unclaimed gold medals, and when he collected them, it completely crashed the lobby and caused a rollback. This guy's piggy bank saved him 8 billion coins. And if you're wondering how he made his fortune, he did it by not buying booster cookies. This guy hit Kata 50 and level 360 in the same run, and it's amazing how he was able to do it on a Nokia E70. Now we recently hit 30k, and as you remember, I was gonna give away a juju short. Don't unsub, it's a joke. Now here's how it's gonna work. I'll be uploading an uncut vid with a timer thing, where I use YouTube comment picker on all of my vids after November 2023. So the longer you've been watching my content, the higher will be your chances. Also, this is the last vid where you can enter to win it. So all you have to do is leave a comment and be subbed. And maybe hit the like button. I'll be announcing the winner through an unlisted uncut vid in a few days.